Hello everyone. It's so great to have you with us today at our annual conference. And as we kind of come to an end, today we have the last seminar sessions. So welcome to the one on promoting altruism and effectiveness among Christians. Before we start, just a few things to say. This is being recorded, so feel free to turn off your cameras. In the agenda, there is also the link to Slido. I hope to leave some space for questions at the end so we can go through some of them later. So put them there or put them here in the chat. And I think I should introduce myself because I know some of you, but not everyone. And so my name is Asha, and I have been around the Each community for almost a year now, actually, doing some community building alongside JD. But I'm primarily focused on running and just preparing the intro course that we run every month and that I will talk about a bit today. If someone asked me, why EA, why am I interested in this? As a student of social anthropology and international relations, why am I interested in A? I think I would say go to James 2:17, that faith, if not accompanied by action, is dead. And I think I take, all those principles from the Bible, like about serving and living life as a Christian steward. And I personally find EA a great toolbox to navigate those principles through the 21st century. And this is something that I would like to share with you today through this little seminar. So it's, I'm not an expert. We're not going to share anything revolutionary today, but hopefully I would like to offer you a toolbox, because essentially this little seminar is about you, what you can say, what you can do, what you can use to promote altruism and effectiveness among your Christian friends and Christian community. At the end of this presentation, there will be a QR code to this, so you can come back, click, all the links, use all the verses, and just, use anything you want that you would find useful to simply share altruism and effectiveness as concept, as well as EA with your Christian friends. I also would like to, say that we tend to think that, sharing altruism is easier than effectiveness. But what I would like us to think is that actually effectiveness flows out of altruism. And it's a great way to propose it like that to your friends. So plan for today, for the next 15 minutes, that's this. And let's start with the basics. So if you are ever stuck with another Christian in an elevator, this is what you could potentially say. Let's go through this together and then let's unwrap it in the following slides. So the value added of EA are impact and effectiveness. And being a Christian means that we are to serve God, brothers and sisters, neighbors, the creation, as Christian stewards. And here I would evoke two verses. Firstly, Luke 12:48. Someone already mentioned it today, I think at the beginning. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. As well as 2 Corinthians 8:14. At the present time, your plenty will supply what they need, so that in turn, they plenty will supply what you need. The goal is equality. Then, given that our resources are scarce, time, money, skills, right, energy, there simply is no space or time for waste. Therefore, we should shrewdly manage our resources. And considering impact as well as effectiveness can be a means to do so. This is why EA questions and community are useful for Christians, because they help us navigate those principles through the reality of the 21st century, full of opportunities, but also traps. Okay, so that's the elevator pitch you make, and then you get out of the elevator and someone says, yes, but, and they have some critiques or misconceptions about EA. And this is why I think it can be very useful and important to come back to the foundation, something that is the source of our principles as Christians and that links all the Christians together, the Bible. Because essentially, the first time you meet someone and they might not really like be convinced by EA as a movement, you know, you do not need to mention EA the first time you meet. You could come back to the Bible and start from there and build upon it to convince someone that EA actually can be a useful tool to live those godly principles in our lives. So, point 1, Christian stewardship and promoting altruism. What is Christian stewardship about? Simply, it's about trusting God entirely with everything. Okay, God is the source of all. What you have is not really yours. It has been given to you. God has entrusted you with particular resources, skills, money, time, environment, your energy, your talents, for you to use them shrewdly to share with others, because the goal is equality. And then Christian stewardship is a great Christian founding block of this holistic, impactful lifestyle that we as EA for Christians want to encourage people to do. Some verses you could find useful, perhaps 1 Peter 4:10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. Then 1 Corinthians 4 is a great chunk on generally being called to be God's servants and acting in the image of God. Then Matthew 19:21, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and come follow me. It is a call to radical living. And Christian stewardship is not a choice. It is an intrinsic part of being a Christian. So then, if we care about that brother and that sister whom we're serving, effectiveness follows. Because if we shift the focus on the recipient, we really start thinking, okay, what is going to impact sustainably in a long term my brother and my sister whom I want to serve? And I think you should be very open that yes, there are so many opportunities to do good, but at the same time, there are so many traps. And today, wanting to do good does not necessarily mean actually doing good. So for some biblical discussion, you already probably know both parables, but I attached here, once you have the presentation, there are links to our community blog post for some discussion on the parable of the unjust steward and the parable of Minas, both in Luke's gospel. They can be a really good starting point to talk about effectiveness and impact that you're having with the resources that you're managing that have been entrusted to you by God. So that's kind of the biblical stance on your impactful life as a Christian steward. And now, how can we respond to some of those misconceptions? I think that all of the speakers today have given us great ideas what we could potentially say. But something that I just wanted to highlight before we move to the resources is that, Bible is first. It's so full of all the guidelines, how we should be living our lives, okay? And not for us to feel ourselves better, but it's for the recipient, it's for our brother and it's for our sister whom we are to share, because the goal is equality and it's love. If you love someone and if you care about whether the action, the project you're undertaking is actually impacting them in a positive way. And if you can do more good with the resources you have, simply why not? That should be the question, why not? And here in our community, we aim to measure the impact that we're having, track, keep the projects, keep the organizations accountable. And someone might say, oh yeah, but EA is too theoretical. Oh, okay, there is theory in EA, and it's great because there are people spending their every day doing some research for us, how to avoid those traps. What are the metrics of effectiveness? What does impact actually mean? That we don't have to do it. We can just, go online and read about it, think, okay, is it something I agree with? Yeah, that might be something I want to donate to, or this is the way I want to donate my time. Okay, so there is theory, but it's all because it's a foundation of our actions. EA and Christian stewardships are action-oriented. And it's not just about donating. Yes, it's a great part of what we're trying to do here. but it's about all the resources you've been entrusted with. You have a particular unique set of skills. You have just your character, your energy that you have and the environment you're in. So the question is, how can you use it to serve, to benefit your brothers and sisters? And you do it because you love God. You do it because you love your brothers and sisters. And I think something that you could also say is that simply EA highlights the neglected areas you could be acting in and that you could be serving in. And it provides you with the resources that you can use to do so. And it also provides you with a group of Christians who are highly motivated and spend every day of their lives, aiming to live those commands that God is so explicit about, and actively figuring out what to improve, what other metrics, what better metrics there are to think with. So now let's move on to some resources that you can either use yourself or invite people to. I'd say step 1, intro video. Super, super low commitment, 5 minutes. You can share it with anyone, any Christian completely new to EA. And after those 5 minutes, someone should have a pretty good broad understanding of what EA for Christians is about. That we're a community of motivated Christians pursuing effectiveness and impact to do the most good possible for God's glory. Then, if you would like to talk to someone about donating, why not sharing with them the blog post on John Wesley? There are actually 2 blog posts, but altogether 15 minutes of reading time. So also a pretty low commitment level. Audience, anyone interested in Christianity and living their life as Christian stewards, and those articles and Wesley's sermon on earning all you can, saving all you can, giving all you can is an example of a radical giving, an example to follow. Later, you can invite someone to the Bible study. We prepared a 3-hour Bible study, which focuses on generally broadening the understanding of what Christian stewardship is about, the rational side of love, and then actually managing and sharing your skills and gifts and things you've been entrusted with. I would say it's particularly good for skeptics about EA because you start with the Bible, okay? And you start with the concept of Christian stewardship and then you build upon it, why effectiveness, why impact, why measuring what we're doing. If you would like to run this at your community or church or university, we would be so happy for you to do it. Just get in touch with me and we have some other resources that could help you facilitate, that you could run the Bible study. Oh yeah, something worth mentioning is that once you have this presentation, here you have the links on the top to all those resources. So hopefully that's going to be helpful. Step 4, intro course. And that's something I absolutely love because I spent a lot of time doing it and I've spent a lot of time going through this with many people and it's just been amazing, okay? This is, I would say, for any Christian who knows what EA might be or has heard about EA, or someone who is skeptical about EA but is interested in hearing, how it intersects with Christianity. Because it's a slightly higher commitment level. We meet 4 times for an hour, 20 minutes, but then there is also kind of pre-reading time that you probably spend normally between an hour and a half preparing for the sessions. We meet, we discuss, we challenge ourselves, and we think, okay, what does it mean for my life? How can I use those principles to navigate my Christian life through the 21st century, through the environment I am in? And after this, someone should have a pretty good understanding of the core EA areas, the intersection with Christianity. And after those, I would say 4 points, someone should be pretty well equipped to really make pretty good commitments and base their decisions on the framework of effectiveness, impact, and Christian stewardship. Just two other things I'd like to talk about is we also have the 80,000 hours book club. And I'd say it's especially good for student groups, as well as people thinking about career switch. We divided it into 5 weeks. You would meet for an hour each time, but you also need to read the chapters before the session. But yeah, it's not a long book, and the font is also pretty big, so it's a huge encouragement to really do it and invite your friends to run the session, even in a group of 5 or 6 people. And what I would say is that it's also really good because you kind of bring people to think about impact and effectiveness through the idea of, okay, how can I use my career? How can I use my 80,000 hours to actually have some impact and actually do something that will benefit my brothers and sisters? Okay. And the last thing is that I also attached a link to our each events page, because why not inviting someone next year to the conference? Why not inviting someone to the Sunday calls if there is a particular topic that they would be interested in? On our YouTube channel, we also have the talks that we have recorded. So for example, there are talks from the last year's conference. There are some Sunday calls. There are the speakers events. So you can either watch it with your friends or send them a link. And I think it works especially well if you link them something that they are already interested in. So like a particular cause area that you see your friends or peers might be interested in. And you just challenge them to think about impact, think about effectiveness. Because as I said, I think that we should care about this because it flows out of our Christian stewardship and because we love brothers and sisters. And I think, last thing I would say is that I think we are often scared of using the words effectiveness or impact. I think they're we're often scared of using them. And I don't really know why, because, there isn't time to waste on being, I don't know, scared to use those words. And if we want to be impactful, if we want to really shift the focus on the recipient, then I think it's worth using those words and being very transparent about this. And if you see someone skeptical about EA, start with the Bible. It works really well. And if someone is like, okay, I might be happy to explore EA, then just share those resources with them. Run something yourself. Oh yeah, so the question is, how will you promote altruism and effectiveness among Christians in your environment? Whether you're at university, whether you would like to do something at your local church, you can do it. And I am super happy to share with you some of the resources that we have. And we have also facilitators guides. So we can really equip you to do it. But if you'd like us to run it, we're also happy if we can in person. If we can't, then online. We are very happy to run things with local churches too. So top right, my email. Feel free to email me about anything you want. Top left, my link to my Calendly, so we can chat. And bottom right, QR code to this presentation. Please use it. It's yours. It's absolutely yours. Use the verses, use the resources, use whatever is here. If only you think it is of value and can help you to share those ideas with your Christian friends. I think that would be it from me. I just encourage you, to have a chat with your friends, invite them to the events, but primarily be an example, because I was at a conference 2 days ago and someone said, they're not going to follow you for what you say, but they're going to follow you for what you do. So first of all, be a Christian steward and then try to promote it among your friends. So thank you. I will stop sharing my screen now. And I think we can have a look at this Slido if we have some questions. Okay, I will also stop recording it so we can have maybe a conversation about those questions.